here, this is in control. Okay, so don't be wimpy on the knife, be in control.
And with that, and with the silverware.
This amount of salt versus this amount of sea salt, this has less sodium. So you can be more generous with kosher salt. Does that make sense? Okay, all right, so. I think we met once before again. Nice to see you again, Julia. How are you? Welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Deane, and this is my business, Culinary Works. So I started Culinary Works in the fall of 2002. And just to put things in perspective, that was before the internet. So it kind of gives it a little bit of context. It was a long time ago. And I originally started Culinary Works because I had always had a sales background in most of my jobs, and I loved to entertain and cook. And I thought, okay, I think I can teach people how to cook and make them feel inspired to cook more and spend more time with their families and their friends around the table. So I started just offering cooking classes in my husband's showroom at Kitchens by Deane. And I started actually like a paper mailer that anybody and everybody whose address I knew, I would, kind of staple it and send it out in the mail. And then it slowly started to kind of pick up, and the corporate started where I got some interest in people wanting to come in to do a corporate class. And GE, right, that puts it in perspective, that company. And it just started to continue to grow and grow and grow. And it's almost, 24 years later, and I'm still here.
What about your favorite places to shop for all your classes, and how long you've been going there?
Yeah, so certainly I'm a ShopRite girl, but I do go to Fjord Fish Market. I do go to Costco. I'll go to Whole Foods once in a while. So, kind of all over the place, but the ShopRite's certainly kind of a mainstay. I feel like they cater to a real diverse ethnic population, and those are the people that cook. Like, they cook real food. And so, it's not like a ton of prepared food at ShopRite. There's some, but you shop the perimeter of the grocery store. That's where, it's the most healthy anyway.
Does ShopRite have good produce?
Amazing. And this will be empty by the end of the day. So the turnover is so quick.
Is that what separates ShopRite from the rest of the stores you shop at?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is look at this. Look how big it is. I mean, it's $1.69. It's massive. It has the root, and some people like that. It's beautiful. I mean, and look at the parsley. Another one. I mean, it's very big. A lot of stores, you take off 2 inches and it's a lot smaller. This is fantastic. I mean, yeah. And also a lot of stores have all this lettuce in bags. A lot of them don't have it fresh like this. So I do love ShopRite sausage. It's like the Rocky and the Rosa sausage. I think Rocky's the hot and Rosa's the sweet. But they have great, lots of great, obviously, variety of meat here. I mean, they have everything from veal tongue or pork tails, and they've got cow tongue, and so they really serve a big population of different people's cuisines. These are the higher quality, the DOP.
What makes them higher quality?
Because they're certified in Italy, and they're the real San Marzano tomatoes.
What about the pastas?
Oh yeah, well yeah, here, you need the slow dried pasta. This is a good brand. I buy this one a lot too. It's the bronzed slow dried pasta. It digests slower in your system, so it keeps your blood sugar steadier longer.
Fun fact of the day.
Fun fact of the day.
What's on the menu for tonight?
Okay, well, I'm having my tea. I always have tea before my events. It's just calming and nice, and before I have to gear up and get the energy going. But okay, tonight. So we put out 2 lovely dips. We have a truffle dip, creamy truffle dip, and lemon dill hummus. We're gonna have some baked stuffed clams. We're gonna have a 2 entrees. So we have a stuffed filet of sole with fresh crab meat, and then we're gonna have a pan-seared New York strip with a a classic herb aioli. And then on the side is going to be some roasted potatoes, roasted in a little beef tallow, along with a salad of asparagus, arugula, and spinach with little toasted almonds on top. And then for dessert is a warm chocolate chip cookie with homemade ice cream. We always make all of our ice cream here homemade. So yeah, it's a good, nice menu. Here you are.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Good, I'm Angela.
Angela, you've been before?
No,
No,
first
new?
time.
Okay, very good, welcome.
First time.
All right, come on over, everybody gather around. You're gonna get to know each other sooner than, yes, exactly, it's my dinner bell.
We do that at our ski club to bring people to dinner.
You do, right?
We do.
Yeah, I love it. And this is actually blessed by a Buddha, so this is like, has some like real power and energy here, so. Thank you for choosing to spend your evening with me and my crew. All right, so a nice full menu for everybody. So we have the teams kind of set up here on a piece of paper. You guys can pick like a particular dish to make. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to ask questions or see what's going on or, kind of be more involved. It's just that we have to have a set of accountability and like sense of structure to the night, or else it just gets a little bit too chaotic. All right. Anybody else is on clams? I need all my clam people here. Okay, very good. When you buy something like clams from the store, a lot of times they'll come in a bag or basket or whatever it may be. And if they when they maybe they gave them back to you or something and they were in plastic, make sure that you always take them out of the plastic. They need to be in something perforated, like so, because they have to breathe. So if you weren't cooking them that day, you're cooking them the next day, just either leave them in that perforated bag or put them in a colander where there's air around them. That's why they have them in those type of bags. It's purposeful because otherwise they will, they'll suffocate. Exactly. Thank you very much, Chris. Yes, thank you. They'll suffocate. What you're going to do is just start to pile them in the pot. Yep, so that's you guys. Pile them in the pot. Right, pile them in the pot. All right, just like that. Pile them in the pot. Right away. We're just going to give that process a couple minutes, okay? Cover.
What are a lot of questions people ask you during the class that they'll remember when they leave?
So at Culinary Works, we always try to focus a lot on the foundation. So whether it's like pan searing or it's roasting or it's, chopping. So we always go through, like the slice and chop, so they understand like that process, like how to slice, how to chop. Because a lot of times people are also really scared of the knife or also how to hold the knife. Sometimes they hold it like, timidly, not like kind of up, closer towards where the blade begins. So you really feel like, that you're in control here. Okay, so as far as the chopping, right, let's assume this is my garlic here. When you're chopping, not slicing, this is a chop, your knife is kind of parallel with your body and you're using the back of the knife chopping like this, right here. My hand is here, right, so I see my fingers, I'm holding the knife up here, I'm not holding it back here. This is not in control. You're not in control here. This is in control. Okay, so don't be wimpy on the knife. Be in control. Gentlemen, they open it up?
Yep.
Great. Is that wet enough? Nah,
Breadcrumbs, cheese, and parsley.
yep, breadcrumbs, cheese, parsley, little Parmesan. Okay. Is that right? A little bit on each one. Okay?
Talk about the men with meats
Oh.
when you bring out steaks.
I mean, it's a phenomenon. It's a thing. So I do a lot of corporate events, corporate team building, and corporate events. And, certainly with, you're going to get a bunch of men together and you need meat. I mean, you just do. You need steak, right? So I always buy New York strip steaks. I buy prime steaks. They're very high quality. They're thick steaks. They're delicious. We always pan sear them in a cast iron skillet. Of course, we have the fan going, so, it helps with the smoke. But it's just, things kind of get very serious. Like the men kind of all gravitate, they come around, they all get excited, and it's just a thing. It just happens. It's like the tone kind of shifts when the men get around, and, sometimes we do, we'll do au poivre, so, it gets like, the fire and the flambe, or we do like a delicious like chimichurri, but it's just funny. I just have noticed it through many years, and the men get so excited. They start slicing the meat. As soon as they start slicing, then it's like everybody goes around the island. I'm like, okay, hands off. Okay, you can't, once in a while let them, of course, have a piece because, they're slicing and they made it, but it's just so, it's great. Anyway, so now what we're gonna do, what do you think we're gonna do with the skillets?
Heat them up.
Thank you very much. You're paying attention. I love it. Okay, yes, we're gonna
want
turn
A+.
on the skillets. And these skillets we're gonna turn on high because the steaks we're gonna cook, pan-sear the steaks all the way on the skillets. So all skillet, no oven. But you know, people do them differently, but that's just how we do them here. You see people being very generous with kosher salt on TV and stuff. I don't even watch food TV anymore, but it has less sodium content like than table salt or sea salt, right? So like this amount of salt versus this amount of sea salt, this has less sodium. So you can be more generous with kosher salt. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, all right. So when you see like this and you're like, holy crap, that is a lot of salt. It is, but it's not because it's kosher salt. So it's not as much as you think, okay? So don't like let that freak you out. Finishing salt is lovely, right? But it's just, you don't want to like put too much. I'm gonna get my phone. Have there some help. You know, Glenn, you too. You're gonna do the fat side. So there's a fat side on the strip, right? So they're gonna turn the steak on the fat side just like this. Right? Yeah, for a minute. And then you're gonna flip it back over when it's 5 minutes, from 5 to 6 you do the fat side, and then put it on the raw, you know, back on the other undercooked side, or the non-cooked.
How long on the fat side, sorry?
Just a minute. Whatever. Just so.
What's the most rewarding part of running Culinary Works and sharing your food with people?
I think, you know, sometimes when somebody random that I may not necessarily recognize right away would come up to me and say, oh my gosh, I make your recipes all the time. Or, oh my gosh, I follow you on Instagram and, you know, I've made a lot of your recipes and my family loves them. So it's just that random occurrence that, you know, throws you off guard when you're not expecting it. That's always really nice and gratifying. And, you know, certainly like the actual events that I run, when people are coming in for the events and they leave and they're so happy and they've, you know, had a great experience, or in the middle of a class when somebody, you know, learns how to chop better with their knife skills. And, you know, that's real. Like they can go home and apply that skill and then hopefully like remember their experience that they had at Culinary Works and wow, like she taught me something. So, you know, I like to think of it as a value added experience and that means a lot to me.
What are the most common questions people ask you at your classes?
So I do get one question a lot, which is like, you know, do you cook like this every night? You know, which kind of makes me laugh. I mean, I do cook at home. Even when my kids were at home and young, I mean, yes, I definitely cooked. I mean, certainly I would make leftovers as well. So I have no shame in leftovers. I could kind of take something and reinvent it for leftovers. But yes, I do cook every night. People ask me that one. They'll talk about salts and olive oils and oils a lot, like fats, because that's kind of such a big thing. You know, what kind of oils do you use just with inflammatory oils? And so we kind of go over those types of things as well, and what kind of salts and why. Because one thing that I find that the average cook at home needs to do more is use higher heat, use more fresh herbs by like, fresh herbs, I mean like, you know, annual herbs that you have to plant every year, like basil, cilantro, parsley, dill, like herbs like that, because they make a big difference in cooking. They just add that big punch of flavor and freshness. They need to use more fat, like so, whether it's, you know, oil or butter, you know, olive oil specifically, so oils, fats, and seasoning. They need to be more generous with their seasoning because a lot of times people don't use enough salt. So,
if you could go back in time to 2002, do you think yourself would say, I would still be doing this here in 2026?
Gosh, that's what's so exciting about life. You know, I studied fitness management in college, and even, or, you know, 2002, like you said, do I think that I would be still doing this? Heavens, no. But I'm so proud of what I've done, and it's been amazing, and I'm blessed. I want to keep doing it, and I just feel lucky, really. So could I imagine it? No, but like it makes me happy.